Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the anime Uzumaki, Spiral into Horror. This is one of Junji Ito's masterpieces, so if you get creeped out easily, brace yourself. This video is not for the faint-hearted. I highly recommend reading the original manga and watching the anime beforehand to avoid any spoilers. Now let's get started. In this video, I'll be covering the first 2 episodes. At the beginning of our tale we are introduced to a girl named Kiri, who resides in the mysterious town of Kurojo. Kiri reveals that recently, strange occurrences have begun to plague her town. As viewers, we notice something peculiar. The clouds in the sky and the grass on the ground are all spiral-shaped. Soon we see Kiri with her boyfriend Sushi. Sushi, who remains calm, suggests to Kiri that they should leave the town of Kurojo. According to Sushi, many bizarre things have been happening in Kurojo lately. That's why he wants to get out of Kurojo. He is surrounded by flowing water. We also see spirals forming, and Sushi explains that these spirals have severely affected his father's mental health. Sushi's father, Mr. Saito, has stopped going to work and spends his days staring at the spirals in his room. His room is filled with spiral paintings and various spiral objects he has collected. Sushi recounts a day when his father became furious with his mother simply because she hadn't included spiral fish pancakes in the soup. The situation escalates when, during a bath, he creates a whirlpool in the tub and then immerse himself in it. He bathed because the water forms spiral shapes. One day, while staring at the spirals, his eyes began to move in a bizarre manner, with his eyeballs rotating independently in spiral patterns. This was extremely unsettling to hear. Kiri was also taken aback, but she remained silent. Later, when Kiri returns home, she finds Sushi's father, Mr. Saito, conversing with her own father. It's worth mentioning that Kiri's father is a potter, and Mr. Saito was lavishly praising his art, particularly because it involved pottery. Pottery wheels spin in a spiral shape after all. Mr. Saito commissions Kiri's father to create a piece of clay art that must be spiral-shaped. After hearing Mr. Saito's peculiar request, Kiri starts to believe Sushi's stories. The following day we find Kiri conversing with her classmate Azumi. Kiri shares details about her boyfriend. Azumi mentions she hasn't found anyone in this city, and Kiri notices a crescent-shaped scar in the center of Azumi's forehead. Azumi explains she got the scar as a child while trying to impress her crush. She was performing stunts on a train, and the scar has remained ever since. Interestingly, the scar makes her more attractive, as all the boys who have liked her are drawn to its shape. This scene reveals that Azumi is very beautiful, and many boys are infatuated with her. After school, Kiri and Azumi head to the station, where they encounter Sushi. Upon meeting Azumi, Sushi becomes terrified, grabs Kiri's hand, and they run away together. Azumi is left alone on the coast. While fleeing, Sushi tells Kiri she sensed the presence of the spiral from Azumi, indicating that both Azumi and Kiri are cursed. Sushi warns Kiri to stay away from Azumi as she is a spiral. Later, when Kiri returns home, her father sends her to deliver a package to Mr. Sai, which contains items he had ordered. While receiving the delivery, Mr. Sai declares he no longer needs ArtFed because he can create the spiral himself. He then kills himself in a horrifying spiral manner. His body twists into a grotesque shape, which is extremely disturbing. This frightens poor Kiri, and we then see a delivery agent arriving at Sato's house with a large package. The scene now shifts to Azumi, who is walking down a deserted road. She encounters Sushi and confronts her, questioning why all the boys have liked her but only Sushi has rejected her. Azumi admits she can't stop thinking about Sushi, and this is a first for her. It's clear that Azumi has become obsessed with Sushi, but Sushi is terrified. When Sushi asks about the mark on Azumi's forehead, Azumi reveals it, showing that her crescent mark has transformed into a spiral. Sushi urges Azumi to leave the city, which deeply hurts Azumi, causing her to break down in tears. Sushi insists that Azumi must leave before her curse worsens. After this, Sushi runs away. In the next scene, we learn that Sushi's father has died. We see that her crescent mark has now become a spiral. In this situation, Sushi again asks Azumi to leave the city, which hurts Azumi, and she starts crying. In the following scene, we see that Sushi's father has died and the townspeople have gathered at the crematorium for his last rites. Everyone is told that her father died after falling down the stairs, but the truth is different. Sushi confides in Kiri. She reveals that her mother had to die after her husband. In her study, she found a large, round wooden tub. When she opened it, she discovered her father had contorted himself into a spiral shape. It was a horrifying sight. In his obsession to become a spiral, he went mad, breaking every bone in his body to fit into the tub. He died in the process. As Kiri and Sushi watch, they notice the smoke from the crematorium chimney forming a spiral in the sky. This smoke eventually mixes into the nearby dragonfly pond. Sushi's mother can't handle it and starts screaming in a strange manner. She claims to see her husband in the smoke, leading to a mental breakdown. The family takes care of Sushi's mother and sends her to the hospital. In the next scene, Azumi encounters Kiri, and we see a large spiral forming on Azumi's head. Later, we find Azumi at her home where a boy who loves her comes to visit, but Azumi pays him no attention. The boy declares he is willing to do anything for her. The next day, Kiri notices that in class, Azumi is unusually quiet. She is absent when a student named Katayama enters the class, arriving late and drenched from the rain. It's clear that Katayama is troubled. He moves very slowly. In the locker room, some boys bully Katayama, stripping him of his clothes and dragging him into the corridor, revealing a spiral mark on his back. Meanwhile, Sushi's mother is admitted to the hospital, becoming paranoid at the sight of anything spiral-shaped. She even shaves her head to hide her spiral. To avoid making a hair bun, she cuts her fingertips because our fingertips have spiral patterns. Sushi tells Kiri that her mother believes her father is calling her to the realm of spirals. The spiral curse has now affected Sushi's mother as well, leaving her deeply troubled. That night, Kiri sees Azumi walking down the street wearing a hat, and she calls out to her. Azumi has undergone a complete transformation, and as she removes her hat, we see that half of her head has become a spiral. One of her eyes even disappears into the spiral. Meanwhile, the boy who likes Azumi calls Sushi to a park, and brings Azumi in front of her. The boy tells Azumi that he has done what she asked. He has brought Sushi to her, so now will she go on a date with him? He asks hopefully. Azumi replies that it will never happen. She only wants Sushi. This leads to an argument between Azumi and the boy, and in anger, the boy removes Azumi's hat. To everyone's shock, Azumi's face has largely become a spiral, and she slowly pulls the boy into the spiral. It seems the boy disappears inside the spiral and Azumi slows it down, and now after slowing it down, Azumi's own body parts start getting absorbed into the spiral. And to be honest, friends, it was quite a creepy scene. It seemed like she was folding herself into a spiral, and slowly Azumi completely swallows herself and suddenly disappears. Sushi climbs a nearby tree just in time, saving herself, and the insect also arrives. She witnesses the entire scene with her own eyes. It's clear that the spiral curse is spreading, but this is just the beginning. There is much more to come, and this is where the first episode ends. At the start of the second episode, we see Katayama arriving late to school once again. The teacher doesn't acknowledge his tardiness, and Katayama quietly takes his seat. The students notice a swelling on his back, with a distinct spiral mark clearly visible. The students are intrigued, thinking it resembles a snail shell. It indeed looks like a snail shell, and Kiri muses to herself, "Uzuki means spiral." By the way, Uzuki translates to spiral. In the next scene we see a couple sitting in a dilapidated hut looking visibly worried. Suddenly 2 snakes appear coiled around each other, and the girl, frightened, thinks they are fighting. But the boy corrects her, explaining that the snakes are actually mating. Through their conversation we learn that their families are enemies, which is why they meet here in secret. The story then shifts its focus to Kiri and Sushi. Has not told anyone about her disappearance. Moreover, now the people of the town do not burn the dead bodies but bury them, because the smoke that rises in the sky after burning them takes a strange black spiral shape. Now although scientists have tried to explain it, this still happens only with the people of Kurojo town. Next we see a boy named Yamaguchi who proposes to Kiri in a funny way, but Kiri says that she is not interested in Yamaguchi. Yamaguchi says that he will still not accept defeat. While walking, Kiri meets the same couple who were sitting in the hut, and the girl's father beats the boy and takes his daughter back home. Then Kiri asks the boy about his story, and he tells her that his girlfriend's name is Yoki, and both their families live in the same neighborhood. Mostly poor people live in that place, but everyone hates each other except me and Kiro, because we cannot live without each other. That is why our parents hate each other so much, and they don't want to let all these troubles happen. They are fed up with this and are planning to leave Korosho and run away by the 6:30 p.m. train the day after tomorrow. When Kiri tells all this to Sushi, Sushi says that that area is the home of spirals, and because of spirals, people hate them so much. In fact, now slowly the whole town is getting under the grip of the spiral curse. Sushi tells Kiri that "I think your hair has become a bit longer," and Kiri also notices that her hair has really become longer, and it is a matter of thought that her hair has become so long. How did it grow so long? The next day in school, everyone was surprised to see Kiri because her hair had not only grown long but it had started to have curls that looked like spirals. A girl named Kyoko braided her hair so that she would not face any problems. But while in class, her hair suddenly started growing very fast. Then suddenly we see Katayama crawling like a snail on the wall of the school building. Now he had completely turned into a snail, and his eyes popped out and became like snail's eyes. There was a commotion in the whole school, and Kiri leaves from there and goes to a hair salon to ask for a haircut, but then her hair grabs the hairdresser. And after returning home, her hair tries to strangle her because she was trying to cut her own hair. And how can Kiri avoid her own hair? At this point her hair looks even more scary. Not only this, wherever Kiri was going she started hypnotizing everyone too. Kiri was really frustrated, and maybe now she too had been affected by the spiral curse. And if we talk about Sushi's father, Mr. Saito, has stopped going to work and spends his days staring at the spirals in his room. Then she was Kiri. Kyoko started feeling very jealous of her because now all the attention was going to Kiri. Kyoko became obsessed with becoming more famous than Kiri. We see Kiri going to the back corner of the school where Katayama was kept. She had completely transformed into a monster. She was in the back. The situation was such that even Katayama's parents could not recognize her. Anyway, Kiri was now depressed. The whole town was staring at her hair. We also see even Sushi staring at her. She runs away in a strange manner. Yamaguchi is waiting for her. He comes with a gift and proposes to her again, but as usual, Kiri accepts his gift. In such a situation, Yamaguchi stands in the middle of the road and says that he will stop this oncoming vehicle with the power of his love. But of course he bathes because the water forms spiral shapes. This does not happen, and Yamaguchi is crushed to death under the tires of the van, and that too in the shape of a spiral. On the other side in the school, now Samuka, along with Katayama, had also become a snail, and both the snails are kept in a cage. Kyoko was also cursed now and she comes to compete with Kiri to see who is the most famous. She was jealous because Kiri was getting everyone's attention and no one was asking about her. There was a literal hair battle between the two, and while fighting, Kyoko's hair starts choking Kiri, but at that moment, Switch arrives with scissors and saves Kiri. The hair still holds him, but he still tries and cuts off all of Kiri's hair and saves her. Meanwhile, Kyoko goes crazy, and her hair gets tangled with a lamppost while Katayama and Samuka disappear from their cage. Sushi and Kiri follow their footprints on the ground and reach the jungle where we see Mr. Yako. They see the teacher who is breaking snail eggs. Then Kiri asks, "How is this possible? I mean, Katayama and Samuka both were male, so how did they lay the eggs?" To which Sir says that snails are hermaphrodites. There is no male or female, they can mate with any other snail. If these eggs hatch, then the whole city will be destroyed. So, Sir was breaking the eggs. When Kiri remembers that couple, she wanted to help them because she wanted at least these people to leave the city and live in peace. So she and Switch reach the station, and see that a boy named Kazunori is running towards the station with Yokiro. Not only this, their parents were also chasing them. Suchi gives them an idea that they should go towards the beach, and these four people reach the beach while escaping from their families. But unfortunately, this couple gets caught. Both families wanted to separate them. In this scene, Kazunori and Yokiro twist themselves and take the shape of a snake, and like the same coiled snake, they become one forever. Then they go inside the sea, and the light of the lighthouse falls on them. The scene shows the next morning, where strange things are happening in the city, like some people are seen moving in a spiral. While the people are talking, they mention that last night, suddenly a light was seen in the lighthouse, which was broken until now. Also, their head, Mr. Yako, had become a snail. Basically, in this city, a lot of strange things started happening. And this is not all. Kurozuka's brother Mitsuo is going somewhere in a hurry and he asks Kiri to come with him. They go to the beach, so we understand that 5 people came yesterday to repair the lighthouse, but there is no news of any of them. During this conversation, Mitsuo's 3 friends start running towards the lighthouse. Kiri also follows them and starts going up the stairs to the top of the lighthouse. But suddenly she doesn't see her brother anywhere. She starts feeling that these stairs are endless, and she is stuck in a spiral loop. Children sitting scared, but Mitsuo was not there. She asks the children to go down and she starts looking for Mitsuo herself up the stairs. But while climbing, she finds some burnt dead bodies. Finally, she reaches the top and meets her brother. Now, Kiri's brother Mitsuo was not able to take his eyes off the spindle made in the lens of the lighthouse. Then Kiri notices that the sun is about to set, and now the light of the lighthouse will come and that light will be so hot that it will burn these 2 people. So they have to run down quickly. And if you think, then those burnt bodies are of those members who had come to repair the lighthouse. They must have been burnt. Well, then all the people start running, and then the light of the lighthouse comes on, and we see Kiri and the 2 kids getting caught in the grip of its light. The second episode ends here. So friends, this was Uma's animatic story. I know that for now you must have a lot of questions in your mind like, is it Ozma's or is it the spiral curse? Then why is this happening in this city? And then how did all of a sudden these questions start? You will get the answers in the next video coming tomorrow. So subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching. Peace out.